New details tonight following 10 Investigates' year-long investigation into concerns with a state-run program that helps hurricane victims repair or replace their homes. A subcontractor who worked on Rebuild Florida homes himself is speaking out after he alleges he witnessed fraud firsthand. He even admitted that shoddy work was done on some of these homes, including Denise Rotolante home that we showed you last night. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus shows us how, and Jen, this homeowner showed us a number of problems.
When we interviewed her, she told us she had concerns with her contractor, so we reached out to the Attorney General's office to see if anyone else had complained about the company. They sent us this one complaint where fraud is written multiple times. The person who sent it, a laborer who worked for the subcontractor. So we reached out and he agreed to share his story.
It was a mess from the beginning.
Jason Wall was a laborer, he says, on Denise Rotolante's Rebuild Florida project.
See how hard it is? It should not be that hard.
He sent us pay stubs confirming he was paid by the subcontractor.
I mean, it's insane. I got a whole freaking garden up there.
We visited Denise's home last month where she showed us problems.
Their roofers destroyed my original gutters.
From the outside,
almost every single one of their doorknobs has fallen off.
To the inside.
This is the kind of stuff they thought would pass.
Where she says shoddy work was performed.
In my bedroom, there was a live wire.
Jason Wall agrees it was shoddy.
Very shoddy, like I said. I've been doing this for 25 years of my life, been in construction my whole life. I'm 46 now, so I know the proper ways, the proper procedures, all the codes and whatnot, and none of them were met. The windows weren't put in correctly. They weren't sealed correctly. And a couple places, they weren't even the correct window, to be honest with you.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Complaints about shoddy work with Rebuild Florida contractors have been coming into 10 Investigates for months by dozens of people.
New insulation was stuck in the roof to cover it up, drywall covered over it. It was one of the more shoddy jobs, and quite a few of them were shoddy when I worked for them.
It's the first time, though, we are hearing from someone who's worked on a project.
I believe that the program may have been good. The contractors are just the wrong contractors, in my opinion.
I call the guy at DEO, and he just sends my complaint back to, nobody wants the responsibility. No one says the buck stops here. There's no one.
We reached out to the state about the complaints from Denise and Jason, and they have yet to get back to us. But in May, when we first sat down with the head of Florida Commerce, the agency overseeing Florida's rebuild program, we asked him whether or not they are investigating any companies. He told us that IEM, the disaster recovery agency that won a $250 million contract from the state to oversee Rebuild Florida contracts, were supposed to be making sure projects were completed correctly.
I want to add too, if our contractor signed off on something as complete, and if it's not actually consistent with the work, in other words, if they're essentially lying and they're saying something is complete but it's not complete, that could be an actual case of fraud.
Wall is adamant that the contractors hired by Rebuild Florida on taxpayer money are investigated.
I personally would not have done her job that way. I wouldn't have done her that way personally. So I want her to understand that I personally had no control over it, and I'm very sorry it turned out that way.
And we did reach out to the contractor that Wall worked for. He told us over the phone that Wall was a disgruntled employee and the work that his company did passed inspections. The contractor, though, went on to say that there were homes in the program he believed should have been torn down, not replaced, and that many of the homes they worked on, their hands were tied with what work was able to be done inside. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
Rebuild Florida recipients continue to share their stories, and you can watch our entire investigation, Waiting for Rebuild, streaming right now on 10 Tampa Bay Plus.